Sequestration is kind of a fancy word for us in Arkansas that means that essentially when we did the raise the debt ceiling, we basically said we're going to raise the debt ceiling, but we can't keep spending the money that we're spending. You know, you can't have $1 trillion deficits. We got to cut back. And so we said we're going to cut about $1.2 trillion over the next 10 years. And so we had the super committee and they were going to meet. But to make it such, you know, that it was binding, we said if the super committee doesn't come up with this $1.2 trillion cut, then automatically cuts would go into effect. And a great deal of that would affect the military, but really cuts across the board. And so now, because the super committee couldn't decide what to do, now we're in a situation where these automatic cuts are going to come. And there's great concern among our generals. Secretary Panetta said that that this would devastate the armed services. The head of the Marine Corps said that the Marines literally would not be able to fight a major engagement with these kind of cuts. So we've got to work through that. We can't have just arbitrary across the board. We've got to be wise. We've got to quit spending as much. We've got to come up with the money, but we do need to target it to the waste and things that we don't need, as opposed to some of the things that we very definitely need. So this is something that everybody's got great concern of, something that I think we'll be working on very, very hard after the election to get sorted out. We do a lot of things in Congress that it's really questionable as to whether or not we ought to be doing, But the Constitution clearly states, and I can't as an individual protect our country. The state of Arkansas can't protect our country. That's something that takes a nation to do. And so I'm a peace through strength guy. We need to spend as much money as we need to keep ourselves safe. The controversy is how much is that? But I think most people agree that it's not, the kind of cuts that we're talking about, because we've already had a $500 billion cut. The kind of cuts that talking about going in with sequestration really would be devastating to our ability to defend ourselves.